Hello, friends. This is Jaya for the session of digitalization with a good, interesting case study dealing with it. So today we are going to discuss about why so much the digital tool is important in business life as well as in the domestic life. So we will start with the scenario first, where there are two friends who are named in a Bob and David, where Bob is earning less, whereas David is earning more. So why is the reason the Bob is earning less? Because he's using a traditional way of method and David is using the digital way of method. So when we are talking about the traditional way and digital one, so traditional method takes a lot of time to complete the request of the consumers as well as the requests, complaints, queries, and everything. Whereas David is doing his work more prominently, more proactiveness because he is using the digital tool in his business, because they are in the business of tours and travel, where their customer require their complaints or the query to be resolved instantly, but where the Bob is struggling very hard to get it done because he is using in a manual way of work, a traditional method using in a business which is having a great loss to him. Whereas loss in the sense he is losing all the customers by using the traditional way of method, whereas David is using the digital tool and he is gaining more and more customer day by day by using this effective tool in his business, which makes him more and more money as well as running the business very smooth. So this is are the two methods which have a difference also. So in the next slide, we'll discuss about what is the difference between the traditional way of method and the digital method. Why David is earning more and more. So when we are talking about digital method, it is involving less manpower, less time consumption, a very low costing, processing is very fast, and it has a more and more accuracy. Whereas in traditional method, you can't find these type of points where the more in that more manpower is used, the time consumption is very high, costing is very high, the processing is very slow, and the chances of errors is very high. But if we compare to the digital method, these things are very less, and the processing part is so fast that the customer would be happy with the service, whether he or she is any other business industry. That's the reason digital tool in today's world is really important, whether you are using in a business life or you are using in a domestic life. So that's the reason we always try to use digital method instead of going in a traditional way. My second slide comprises of the definition of digitalization. When we talk about the digitalization definition, there it comprises of four pillars that comprises of technology, data, process, and the organizational change. So when we talk about technology, when you are using that digital tool as a technology in your website or in an app, it creates or it modifies the existing technology so that it makes the process transparent for the consumers as well as for the business people. Second point, in hand goes the data. When you're using this digital tool, this data you can compare all the data of your for your product, for your brand, for your company, where it is actually standing in the market situation in today's time. You can compile it, you can make an analysis, and you can improvise, have a strategy to improvise that your product or a brand in that particular market situation. Third comes the automation process. So why this automation process is required in this digital tool? It is required because it simplifies the complexities in the business so that it becomes easy for the consumers as well as for the business owners. That's why the automation process is a really important tool, but it goes hand in hand when you have the technology, data, and then the automation process. Last comes the Organizational change. What do you understand by organizational change? When we talk about the organizational change, it makes when the customer requires or he wants the improvised product from your company, from your brand. So you have the certain parameters where you have to make it achievable for the consumer. So for that, for improvising your product, for improvising your brand, you need to make an organizational changes in your business. So you have to make more and more effort so you can meet the demand of the consumer. So you have to create what all the people should do, in what type of a department they should improvise. So here you have, if you have to meet the demand of the consumer, you have to make the organizational change which makes your business smooth enough so that it makes a satisfaction of the consumer, that okay, if the consumer is asking you something, that he wants something improvised in your product and you are able to deliver it, that is the most important thing, and that creates a good line of track for your business to grow. So that is why digitalization comprises of four pillars, that is technology, data, automation process, and last would be the organizational change. This is how we define the digital tool in business life. My second slide comprises of the importance of digitalization. So when we come about the importance of digitalization, so digitalization, when we have talked about the difference between the two methods, we have come across the efficiency part is more than the traditional method. So in every business, every person wants an efficiency in his business so that he can deliver good service to the consumers. And if there is no efficiency in the business, that makes the business not to grow much, because in every parameter, in every industry, the people want their query complaints to be resolved very efficiently. That makes the business grow very smooth. But if you use in a traditional way of method, they are having the chances of very high. So this is what efficiency is really important in a digital tool. Now, the second point which comes into my mind is the securing of the docs. When you're using a digital tool for your business, you make a lot of data. You also agree with there are a lot of data, a lot of numbers, a lot of figures, which you comprise and keep it in a file. But when you keep it in an online platform, it is safe and secure, because when it has, if it is lost, if it is anything, the system crashes, or is there any natural disaster, anything, you can just retrieve it from an online platform. So you agree with that. It is not possible in a traditional way of method, because if it is lost, or if it is stolen, or if it has done anything to those pages or those figures, you have to make it from the scratch, like from A to Z. But while using this digital tool, you can retrieve it, you can fix it, and you can get the entire data from an online platform. Third use, this is, we are talking about a business point of view, but when we are talking about a domestic point of view, it also helps in having all the payments done on an online platform, whether it's a vendor payments, whether it is you're buying from an e-commerce or anywhere. From even a website, you can do it while sitting at the house and without losing any time. And you are just grabbing that opportunity that you can get that product in a one place where you can just search about, you get the deals about, and you can understand what is the quality of the product, whether it is worth of buying or not. So these things you can do it in a place where either you're sitting at a home or either you're sitting at the office. So that is why it is also helpful in a domestic life of yours. Fourth point comes about that the retention of the customers. When we talk about the retention of the customers, that is a really important point in every industry, whether you are dealing with e-commerce, you are dealing with a coffee, whether you are dealing with anything, grocery stores, anything, supermarkets. So why it is really important and how it can be make it easier. So, in every parameter, when in every field, when the consumer have any queries or any complaints or any requests regarding your brand or product, and if your representative is so proactive and try to help the consumer so easily, the consumer will be happy and will try to give you more and more business, come to have a repeat purchases, and he will also recommend your channel to other people so that it makes it more easier that you have a good customer base, as well as it will improve the efficiency day by day. So it makes whole and soul your business more and more bigger for yourselves also, and plus for the consumer, because he will come uh, again and again for the repeat purchases. So we need to retain those customers who are being with you from the early stages of your business. So that is why the retention of the customer is really important. So when we are talk about the importance, so these 4 points comes in the mind. First is the efficiency, which is more important in every business. Second comes the securing of docs, when you're talking about whatever the docs are comprising for your brand, for your product, for your company, anything which is kept in an online platform, it is secure and it can be retrieved and fixed. Third would be, it is really important in a domestic life because you don't have a hard cash and you can do a digital payment over there. And the last point would be the retention of the potential customers. So my next slide comprises of examples of digitalization. So digitalization have a numerous of examples. When we talk about, it can be a computer, it can be a TV, it can be a smartwatch, it can be anything. Nowadays, when you carry a lot of documents, and when you're filling a form of anything, whether it's a school form, whether it is any uh, you are applying for any government IDs or anything. So if all the documents are an online platform, you can just simply fill the form online and you can attach all the documents with that particular form and you can process that form. And it will take a less time in processing your particular form, whether it is a school, whether it is a government ID, anything. So that is why digitalization is making more and more importance in a both business and a domestic life, because it converts everything from an analog to a digital format. That is all we always require. We don't want to carry every time those hard copies with us. If it is in our phone, if it is in a laptop, it is really easy to access and it is really easy whenever you are having any online presentation or an online filling up the form. These things come in hand where you can put it in an online platform and you can easily access to them. That is why the digital tool is important in business as well as domestic life. So my second slide comprises of the advantages. So when we are talking about the advantages of digitalization, so first comes the time saving. So how would you explain the time saving? So when you are using a digital tool and you want something to buy from the shop, which is you have to travel from one place to another, but that particular product or a brand isn't available online, you can search it, you can have all the qualities and you can have the ability to purchase it. So you don't have to travel from one place to another for that particular product. So that is why it saves your time. Second cost save, when you are not traveling from one place to another, it saves your cost part also. Then the third points comes around the accuracy. When you're doing everything, so it has the accurate things in your online platform, whether you can check, you can do a double check when you are purchasing something, you can look about everything. So that is the accuracy comes about. Easy distribution, nowadays you can do it on a social platform. It does not require that in traditional way of method you have to put in printing materials and giving it to home, but in a easy distribution in a digital tool you can do it on a social platform where you get more and more things. and you can grab more and more attention of the people for your brand, for your product, so that they will come to know, okay, this is a website and here there are a lot of products from where we can buy it. Then my point comes about the secured. So, which I have talked about, the documents are really secured on an online platform, which makes it really easy for you to save it. And if it is lost, you can retrieve it. And the last point, which comprises of the increase in profit, which I told you about, the retention of the customers. So when you retain those customers, potential customers, it makes your profit increase. Why? Because when you retain them with your proactiveness service, so they will come by again and again for the repeat purchases, and they will have a lot of things, and they will recommend your channel to other people, and you can increase your customer base in that particular manner. So this is the whole topic is about the digitalization, what is the importance in both the fields, plus how it is really helpful if we are running an online business in an online platform. So that is why digital tool is really important in today's era, and it is really helpful in both ways. So now we are talking about a case study which I have told you when we cover the session of uh, digitalization. There is a case study which is dealing with a QR code. You all know what is a QR code, and it is really simple, trendy tool when we are using it in an online platform. So my case study is today dealing with uh, what do you call a hospital and a healthcare. When we talk about hospital nowadays, when you go for a means if you are in a traditional way of method, many things becomes difficult when you are in emergency, where the you are not in emergency, so you have to stand in a queue, get your payments, to know about the services which this hospital, healthcare or clinics are providing. So that makes a really difficult for you people to get through it. So that's the reason it's really important. Why? My question is, what is the use of QR code by implementing in the hospital industry? And why do you think? So if when we implementing this QR code in a healthcare service, it have a powerful solution by improving the communication, the transparency, and the information between the health providers and the patients. That is really important when you implement these things. So communication, transparency, which you all need, that should be effective tool between the health providers as well as with the patients. So earlier, the medical industry has not embraced this technology because they did not find that important. But nowadays, they are embracing this technology and making improvements in the patient treatments, streamlining all the administration part, and shifting all the traditional way of working to a digital method. So that is really important when you are talking about what is the use in a hospital industry, because in a traditional way, if you go there, the things are not streamlined, whether it is in the communication, whether in an administrative work, whether it is in a treatment. But now when the medical industry or a hospital industry has embraced this technology, these things is coming into the trap for the patient treatment, streamlining of the operation or the administration, and even dealing all the method which they were working in a traditional way, putting it in a digital method. Now, my second points come into the mind that what are the best uses of the QR code in a healthcare industry, whether you can tell us as a healthcare or a hospital industry. First is the patient identification. Earlier, when we use the traditional method, we used to fill a form and we keep it aside, keep a file for it. But when we do it in a digital way, so it makes it very easy to store that data on an online platform, and it is an important tool in helping the healthcare providers to keep the correct track of the patients throughout this administration, because if you have to streamline this administration, so the QR code is the most important tool while keeping the track for the same. So how it is done, how we can keep a correct track of the patient. So earlier there were the forms when we keep it in a file. Now they have a bracelet where the identification of the patient is printed over there with the QR code. So what happens whenever he goes to any healthcare, the particular healthcare part or a hospital, so they can scan it and they can get the entire part of the patient information and identification where he or she has got that bracelet. So it keeps a track for the patient, and he has not the health provider had not to go here and there to find out that information about the patient. He can just scan it and get the entire information and identification of the patient, even every information about it. So the second point, which comes the drug package and safety. Why you think drug package and safety requires the QR code? According to me, that it is really useful because when the QR code is embedded in the packaging, prescription, in labels, so it makes that the drug is authentic and it is prescribed by the doctor. Because if it is nothing is there, the QR code is not there, it can be used in other purposes, like it is drug smuggling to some other place. So when it is prescribed, when it is QR code is embedded, so it ensures the safety to the patient as well as for the health givers, because when they have embedded, so they have a correct track of the drugs as well, that whatever the drugs they are giving it to the patient, because these all informations are embedded in that patient bracelet. So that is why the drug packaging and safety is really, really important for the hospital industry. Now, third point which comes around is how the QR code is helpful in tracing the elderly people. So the hospitals are mostly covered with the elderly people. You agree with that? And due to many health issues. Some elderly people have minor issues, some have the more and more complicated illness. So it is a usual scenario in every hospital or a healthcare industry. But how we can track that, the QR code through this for the elderly people? Because we have to keep a track from time to time for these elderly people, because it is really important. So when the QR code is embedded in their badge or in their bracelet, which have the info about the family, about their residential, so that if anything happens, so they can connect with their people to the next of kin of the patient, so that it becomes easier for them to uh, connect with the people related to the patient. So that's why, because some elderly people come by their own, but if when these informations are really connected in their bracelet, in their badge, so it becomes easier for health givers as well as for the elderly people, because many of the elderly people doesn't remember the information about their residential part or the contact information, or they just don't remember who to call them whenever there is emergency. But when these are embedded in their bracelet, so the health givers are very easily track them and they can connect with them and try to tell them the entire information about their patient. So that's the reason why it is required for elderly people as well. My fourth point comprises of the QR code on the health equipment. Why it is required on the health equipments? So the QR code is really important tool for the health equipments because it can track the maintenance, it can track the operating system for the machine. So whenever the system gets uh, if the system is not working properly or it is malfunction is there, so what happens at that point of time? Now if a system gets disrupted or something happens or a technician comes, and if it is the technician is new to that particular company or something, so how would he do it, how he fix that machine so quickly? So what he has to do, if the QR code is embedded into that particular equipment or apparatus, so he just scan it, get the manual or operating manuals over there so that he can understand how to operate it, how to fix it, or he can even land to the website of that particular company page so that he can have the entire information about that particular equipment. So that is why in a health apparatus we always require the QR code so that it makes the work easy and it doesn't consume the time very much. So this is the one point. Second point would be the comprises of regarding this healthcare QR code on medical brochures and leaflets. Why we require QR code when you are getting a leaflets from medical healthcare clinic or in a hospital or something? So why it is required and why it is helpful? So in a brochure also, if a hospital or a health clinic, they embedded the QR code, it makes it easier so that he or she when he scans, he can get a promotional video, he can understand what this hospital do, what are all the services are there. Even it is helpful in marketing when the person wants to promote his hospital or a healthcare clinic to the people that okay, this healthcare clinic is also situated in this place and you can get more and more knowledge about it through this particular small image of a QR code. That makes it easier for the people to understand why QR code is really important in a hospital industry. So these are the points when we are talking about implementing this QR code in an hospital industry. The points which is I'll later tell you what are the takeaways in this. So this is the QR codes are really helpful in marketing for a healthcare or a hospital industry. So my last point, which comprises of why QR code we consider as a future in the healthcare today. So when we talk about this, the QR code in the healthcare have a wide range of medical uses and it provides a difference in a different industry. Have advantages when we are using the QR code in an hospital industry. So what is the benefit that we have while using in a hospital industry these QR codes? So when we are talking about the benefits, so it comes like in such a manner that it improves the healthcare delivery process, drug administration, and patient management, which all you required in this point of. These three things are really important where it is the healthcare delivery process where everything you can get the correct information about the hospital, what are the services they are providing. Second, the drug administration, which is I told you about the drug safety and packages, which have the prescription and entire thing. And last part is the patient management, where in that bracelet he or she have the full information which is embedded in that QR code and it is easily trackable in an online platform. And secondly, it always promotes and enhances the workflow of the hospitals and other medical uh, clinics where it improves the patient's health experience also there. So when we are talking about the patient's health with this QR code, so it has also a major thing that when the patient is in the hospital or healthcare for a while, for a period of time and everything, and when he gets discharged or something. So you can, after they are getting that billing done, you can just provide when they are doing an online payment and everything for the hospital or healthcare clinic, you can just embed that QR code. There should be a feedback form where the customer can just fill up the form and he can tell his or her experience while staying in that particular hospital or a healthcare, whether they like the services or not, whether the staff was good to them or not, whether the correct administration was done over there, their health treatment was in a correct track or not. So these things you can embed it when the patient is getting discharged from your hospital or healthcare. So this is really important. And I'm not talking about this industry, or I'm not selling about the QR code. I'm talking how the QR code it enhancing day by day in every field of the industry, whether it is in hospital, whether it is in a supermarket, whether it is in a grocery store, whether it is any restaurants, hotels, anywhere. So QR code is getting better day by day in all the fields of the industry. I'm not selling it, I'm telling about the importance what we are doing in today's world. And so this is an interesting case study about the hospital and healthcare industry. So the takeaway with this, which enhance the hospital industry, is the patient identification, the drug safety. Then it can trace the elderly patients. It also helps in a health equipment, as well as for brochures and leaflets. As these are the points which are takeaway when you are running an hospital or a clinic. These things you can use it in your business so that it makes an easier life for patients as well as for yourselves to grow business more and more. And the people should know about your hospitals and healthcare clinics. So I'm representing the company Uxlivinglab. So we are a market research consultant where we are using, or we can say just we are doing our business through a QR code, which is really easy and trendy, cool tool these days. So while registering, it's really easy that I'll be sharing it with you on my Facebook account where you can just have a look on it. So while registering, you just have to give your name and email ID, and your QR code is created. And when it is created, you can opt for all the products, whatever you require from us. Even you can leave a feedback from your business. So now the question comes, what we do exactly. So after your creating of the QR code, then you talk about whatever the service you require. So if I say, for an example, that you require the customer insight about your particular product of your brand, so we take the insight of the customer day by day, and you get we make a good analysis about what the customer requires from your brand. Then we make a report, and then we try to make it a qualitative or a quantitative report so that you can understand where your product is standing in today's market situation. That's the QR, that is done by through this small QR code. And secondly, whenever you want, I will be providing a calendar link where you can just book an appointment with us, so that we make you understand about a product, or you wanted information about anything about our company. So we will try to help you out in this manner with the QR code, and we will able to help you in every perspective. Even we will try to give you a strategy so that you can improvise your product and make it that it should stand in today's market situation. It makes it really important because you all know want to grow your business more and more, and your product should go to every consumer at that particular time. So that's what we do, and that's what we research. We are research consultant, and we always try to make it happen for you. We can try to help you in strategy. We try to make you understand where your product is standing, what is a report for your product or a brand, and where is company is standing at this point of time. So this is what we do. And if you need a further assistance regarding how it works, how what are the features, what are the pricing, you can just ping me. You can book an appointment in a calendar link so that we can try to help you out in this manner. So if any suggestions or any feedback regarding this presentation, regarding the website, regarding anything, you can just get in touch with me so that I can help you at the instant. So we will not let you wait in a queues and stand there. And that is what the importance of the digital tool, that you don't have to stand in a queue and wait for your call to come and your service to be done. So we are like that. We will always try to help instantly. We will listen you proactively, and we'll try to understand your issues. Or you have any other query regarding our website, or you don't understand about our features, we are ready to help you out in this perspective. So this is what UX Living Lab does. And for further anything you require, please let me know. Thank you for your time for joining this session.